Oh man, Blackenstein, the Black Frankenstein. How could you go wrong? If you guys remember the 10 Days of Dracula feature, you'll remember that I reviewed Blackula, the black version of Dracula made in the 1970s, and that despite having a title that sounds like it would be from a ridiculous comedy, it was a decent movie, overcoming its small budget with good acting and a well-thought-out plot. So Blackenstein should also be good, right? Well, here's the problem. The producer of Blackula, Samuel Z. Arkoff, wanted to go ahead and make a version of Frankenstein after Blackula was a success, but someone else beat him to it. And if you're thinking of some guy who just produced a bunch of blaxploitation flicks in the 70s, think again. Arkoff also produced films such as the Amityville Horror, The Abominable Dr. Phibes, Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, and Murders in the Rue Morgue. So it's a shame that someone beat him to the punch on a Black Frankenstein movie. Anyway, after watching Blackenstein, I can only come to the conclusion that the people who did wind up making it had a budget of about $100, picked random people off the street to star in it, and borrowed their grandmother's handheld camcorder to shoot it. Before I can talk about the plot, I want to address the title. What the hell is Blackenstein, anyway? I mean, throughout the years, and the many versions of Frankenstein, some people have mistakenly called the monster Frankenstein, but we know that's the name of the creator, and the creature itself has no name and is usually referred to either as the creature or Frankenstein's monster. But in this case, you can't even make that mistake and call the creature Blackenstein, as he has an actual name, Eddie. So, is it the Doctor? Well, there is a Dr. Stein in the movie, and he does sort of become the catalyst towards Eddie becoming a monster, but he's a white guy, so he's definitely not Blackenstein. My theory is that the script at some point had to have been under another name, and they used it to rush out a Blackenstein movie before people who knew what they were doing could do it. So, here's what the movie is all about. We open in a medical center ran by Dr. Stein, a famous researcher who has recently won the Nobel Peace Prize for solving the human DNA code, whatever the hell that means. Now, right there, you want to stop and call bullshit. Researchers win Nobel Prizes all the time, but not the Nobel Peace Prize. There are Nobel Prizes in various fields of science, so right off the bat, you know whoever wrote this didn't bother to research anything and nobody checked his work. Dr. Stein is being visited by Dr. Walker, whose fiancé recently had his arms and legs blown off in Vietnam. He offers to see what he can do, even though she thinks nothing can be done for him. He says that he can replace the man's limbs, though exactly how is never disclosed. Stein grafts limbs onto people using lasers and then uses injections of DNA to get it to take, I suppose. But it's never explained where he gets the limbs. I guess he clones them or something. They're definitely not coming from a graveyard. Anyway, they do this for Eddie, and pretty soon he has the use of all of his limbs, but he just doesn't seem to care. This is my main problem with the acting. Everybody is completely deadpan. It was literally an hour into the movie before I saw anybody make us any sort of facial expression that wasn't a blank stare. When Eddie is lying in this hospital bed in the beginning, and you can clearly see the actor's arms and legs under the sheets, by the way, he's being verbally abused by the orderly, and he doesn't seem upset by it. When he gets brand new limbs and no longer has to live his life in bed, he doesn't seem happy about it. He goes through the whole movie with the same bland expression. Dr. Stein's assistant in this is this guy Malcolm. Yeah, that's right, not Malcolm, but Malcolm, with a B at the end. What the fuck? Anyway, he's fallen in love with Dr. Walker, and professes his love for her one night. Of course, she's in love with Eddie, though you couldn't tell from her death mask expression. And she lets him down in the nicest way possible, saying, you're very nice, but you have to understand, I'm getting married soon. Malcolm doesn't take the rejection well and switches Eddie's DNA shots with something. I don't know, maybe it was orange soda. Anyway, Eddie starts to change into a gorilla or something, and his skin gets sort of a purple tone, so I spent the rest of the movie mentally referring to him as the grape ape. Not scary at all. I don't know what Malcolm's thought process was. I mean, what? Did he think that he'd turn Dr. Walker's boyfriend into a gorilla and then she'd fall in love with him instead? Whatever. Anyway, when they see that Eddie is turning into some sort of monster, they put him in a locked cell, but they never think to check the DNA they're injecting him with, so they just keep giving him the treatments and he gets worse and worse. The cell has to be the easiest thing to escape from ever, as at night he just sort of opens the door and leaves to go on a rampage, but he returns in the morning for his treatments. Now, I use the term rampage loosely, as he walks really, really slowly, with his arms outstretched and moaning like a zombie, or like every bad impression of a Frankenstein monster you've ever seen. It's a wonder he ever kills anybody, as all you need to do to escape is to walk away. You don't even need to run, just walk away. He'll never catch up with you. You could probably crawl away and leave him in the dust. Anyway, at first, you think he's on a mission of revenge, as the first person he goes after is the asshole orderly who yelled at him, but then he pretty much just kills anybody who he sees. He kills a rapist, but then he goes after the victim. He kills a poodle, a white chick who got ditched by her boyfriend, and a few other random people. He does this mainly by ripping them apart, and mostly because they try to escape him by running toward him instead of away from him, making me think that everybody in this movie is fucking stupid. Near the end, he grapples with Dr. Stein. I couldn't really tell whether he killed him or not, and he terrorizes his girlfriend, but she gets away from him. Later on, he catches Malcolm in the act of trying to rape her, and, he goes after him. Malcolm tries to fight him, but he's overpowered, but then he shows the only glimmer of intelligence in the entire movie and escapes by just walking away. Then that glimmer of intelligence is dashed as he comes back with a gun. Well, I don't know what was in the injections, but apparently made Eddie bulletproof as Malcolm empties his gun into Eddie to absolutely no effect, and then he gets killed for his own stupidity. Then, randomly, Eddie is terrorizing some random white girl trying to start her car. This is where it gets really stupid. He knocks her out, but he doesn't kill her. He just kind of carries her around. He's killed everybody else that came near him, so why not her? Then she comes to and gets away from him pretty easily and starts jogging off, but somehow he catches up with her when she tries to climb a ladder and fails miserably at it. Then he rips her head off. Why the hell didn't he do that the first time? Anyway, you're thinking, what could possibly stop this guy who just shrugs off bullets like mosquito bites? The answer is dogs, specifically 2 Doberman Pinschers who just kind of show up and bite the shit out of the dumb motherfucker. The dogs rip his guts out and then wander off, and the credits roll. Even the credits are fucking stupid as they come down from the top of the screen. This movie officially got nothing right. It really is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's a disgrace to Frankenstein, it's a disgrace to horror films in general, and it's even a disgrace to 70s blaxploitation movies. This movie could not have been fixed. It's utterly unsalvageable. It's a clusterfuck of deadpan acting, confusing editing, bad lighting, thinly veiled racism, complete randomness, and no semblance whatsoever of plausibility. Blackenstein fucking sucks, and it gets the dreaded 1 out of a possible 10. Fuck this movie, and fuck the people who made it.